My executive suite, which my wife Sophia gave away to the new intern Kevin. Kevin posted photos of the office on social media, captioning them grateful for Sophia's trust and mentorship. I'll strive to live up to the expectation. My assistant forwarded the screenshot to me. The office layout was completely rearranged. All my awards vanished. I immediately forwarded it to Sophia. Sophia, what's the meaning of this? Why is an intern occupying my private office? Sophia replied with a voice message, slurring slightly. Darling, it's just an office. Besides, you're not using it right now. I want that office restored to its original state within 10 minutes, exactly as it was. Sophia didn't respond. 2 minutes later, Miller Corp's most vital contract was forcibly suspended. If someone wanted to challenge my authority, I had no problem bankrupting Miller Corporation. Sophia's calls hammered my phone one after another. I finally answered on the 5th ring. An enraged shout blasted through the receiver. Ethan, have you lost your mind? That's a $200 million project. You know the product launch is next week. Halting it now is practically suicidal for the company. All this over an office? Are you serious? Married 5 years. This was the first time she'd ever raised her voice at me over another man. I took a slow sip of whiskey, feeling the liquid burn down my throat, a chill spreading through my chest. This isn't about the office. Sophia, restore my office immediately. Everything back in its exact place, including every single one of my awards, or the company will lose far more. Sophia was silent for a few seconds on the other end. Now you have 5 minutes left, I said coldly and hung up. 2 minutes later, she sent photos of the restored office, everything back in its original position. Upon receiving the photos, I immediately contacted the original project lead and rescinded the suspension order. However, I sent Sophia a different photo. It showed her study completely cleared out, including her favorite antique, the one she just won at auction for a small fortune, followed by another image, the floor littered with the shattered fragments of that same antique. Sophia, consider this your punishment. You know my temper. Let this be the last time. Sophia offered no response. I knew she was furious, but my own anger burned hotter. Our marriage had begun as a strategic alliance between our families. 5 years ago, she needed the Hayes family's overseas distribution channels, and I needed Miller Core domestic manufacturing base. A marriage of convenience was the logical outcome. There was no whirlwind romance, only a rational choice for mutual benefit. Ethan, Sophia had said before the wedding, holding my hand, her gaze steady and sincere. We won't just support each other in business. After we're married, I will trust you and I'll respect you. I appreciate your frankness, Sophia. I hope our partnership proves successful. I had replied with a smile. Over 5 years, we went from strangers to familiar companions, from respect to reliance, and eventually warmth and affection blossomed. We shared countless nights, leaning on each other after endless corporate dinners. This year, we finally welcomed our son. He was the ultimate testament to our love, leading me to believe our bond had become unbreakable. But now, Kevin's arrival had shattered the rapport and trust we had painstakingly built. Sophia didn't come home that night. I knew it was her way of expressing anger and dissatisfaction. The next day, I removed the bandages from my leg and went straight to the office. The staff looked surprised to see me, then quickly lowered their heads in greeting. Mr. Hayes, aren't you still recovering from your injury? What brings you in today? The young receptionist asked with concern. Some matters require personal attention. Nodding slightly, I headed straight for the executive floor. Just as the elevator doors opened, I heard laughter spilling from Sophia's office. Through the partially open door, I saw Kevin sitting right beside her. Sophia's eyes were crinkled with amusement, a stark contrast to the cool indifference she usually showed her secretaries. Normally, aside from me, she never allowed anyone to linger in her office, let alone elicit such a warm expression. But now she and Kevin were sitting so close there was barely any space between them, engaged in animated conversation. Kevin was wearing a high-end designer suit. It was a style I had admired, one Sophia had mentioned wanting to gift me. Not only was the suit incredibly expensive, it was a limited edition. Only 5 existed globally, and now it was being worn by an intern. I pushed the door open. The laughter died instantly. Sophia's smile froze on her face. "What are you doing here?" Kevin scrambled to his feet, adopting a respectful expression and greeting me softly. "Mr. Hayes, I heard you just had surgery. You should really be resting at home. What brings you to the company so suddenly?" I scoffed. "Who gave you permission to comment on my personal affairs? What blind fool hired such a disrespectful waste of space?" Kevin Unk's smile froze, his mouth hanging open, lost for words. "Immediately, take off that suit." The office atmosphere plummeted below freezing. Kevin Unk's eyes widened, his lips trembling in disbelief. He glanced at Sophia, his eyes pleading for help. I turned to Sophia as well, my gaze glacial. "Explain. Why is my suit on him?" Sophia frowned, impatient. Because of the office incident yesterday, Kevin was subjected to a lot of gossip from colleagues. "I was just compensating him a little. It's just a suit. I'll get you a better one later." "Compensation?" I laughed coldly. "This suit might not mean much financially to us, but it's still a limited edition global haute couture piece. What status does he have? Is he worthy of wearing it? Besides, what happened yesterday was his own fault for not knowing his place. He brought it upon himself." "Sophia, have you also forgotten your own status? Forgotten who I am? Who gave you permission to casually give away something that belongs to me?" Hearing this, Kevin turned deathly pale and stammered. "I'm sorry, Mr. Hayes. I didn't know this suit was yours. Now you know, so take it off." Immediately, seeing me cut Kevin off, still pressing the issue relentlessly, Sophia lost her temper. "Ethan, don't push it. We have a project meeting to get to. Stop making a scene." My heart sank. She had never raised her voice to me in the office before. Now she was breaking that rule for Kevin. Beside her, Kevin visibly relaxed, seeing Sophia stand up for him. "Project? Which project is that?" "The Apex Core Partnership. Kevin and I are about to leave for the meeting." Sophia tugged at her sleeve, her tone growing even more impatient. "Kevin has been a significant help with this matter, so I'm bringing him along to the discussion." I raised an eyebrow, my smile laced with sarcasm. "Oh, I wasn't aware, and in turn possessed such capability enough to influence the decisions of a publicly traded company." Sophia's face darkened. She grabbed her purse and motioned for Kevin to follow. "Let's go. We can't afford to waste any more time." As they brushed past me, Kevin shot me a triumphant smirk, his eyes glinting with provocation. "Sophia, you brought this upon yourself. Since you insist on shielding Kevin, don't blame me for being merciless." After they left, I pulled out my phone and dialed Apex Corp's chairman, Mr. Peterson, on his private line. "Mr. Peterson, Ethan Hayes here about that partnership Sophia Miller is coming to discuss today." An hour later, I received a call from Sophia. She was furious, her voice practically a roar. "Ethan, what the hell do you think you're doing?" Mr. Peterson not only publicly humiliated Kevin, calling him a kept man who used his body to climb the ladder, he also claimed Miller Corp basically owes its existence to you, and that now while you're recovering, I'm running around with other men, being ungrateful and disloyal. This was all orchestrated by you, wasn't it? I chuckled softly. "Sophia, I can't control other people's thoughts or mouths. Whether it's true or not, people have eyes. They can judge for themselves." Kevin left completely humiliated, and the deal is off. "Are you satisfied now?" "Satisfied? Immensely satisfied. You both reaped what you sowed." After hanging up, the fire in my chest subsided slightly. Later, I received a message from my assistant, Alex, informing me that news about Kevin had already spread throughout the company. When he returned to the office, colleagues pointed and whispered. Some even openly cursed him for being arrogant, having devious intentions, and lacking real ability, relying on dirty tactics to get ahead. Everything on his desk had been thrown into the trash. Even though he desperately insisted he wasn't the kind of person and pleaded with him to stop, no one in the company listened to his explanations. Who would risk antagonizing the executive vice president over a mere intern? Everyone was eager to kick him while he was down. I'd seen this kind of thing countless times. Kevin had truly brought this upon himself. An intern with no background and no real skills, thinking a little favor from Sophia meant he could leapfrog to the top. It was laughable. Humiliated and enraged, Kevin submitted his resignation. Since he wasn't officially on board yet, HR processed it instantly, no questions asked. Kevin's current situation was entirely his own doing. Who told him to be so arrogant, coveting positions and people far beyond his reach? Sophia managed to smooth things over with Apex Corporation after a lengthy effort. But when she returned to find Kevin had already left the company, her face turned thunderous. She arrived home late that evening while I was putting our son Leo to sleep. The little guy's face was chubby, his nose and eyes strikingly similar to Sophia's. She stood at the nursery doorway, her expression grim, but she deliberately kept her voice low. Kevin did nothing wrong. He's just a hard-working young man. Now, because of you, he's not only lost his job, but his reputation is ruined, too. Ethan, there has to be a limit to your rich boy tantrums. I motioned for her to be quiet and gently laid the sleeping child down in his crib. Stepping out of the room and closing the door behind me, I finally spoke. Sophia, let me repeat. Kevin being harassed and quitting was not orchestrated by me. Even though I told myself it didn't matter, the anger and disbelief in Sophia's eyes still sent a pang through my heart. Ask yourself honestly, how many times have you broken your own rules for that, Kevin? It was your tacit permission, your indulgence that gave him inappropriate ideas. There's nothing inappropriate between Kevin and me. Sophia retorted heatedly. Innocent? Would you give him things originally intended for me? Would you let him practically move into your office? Don't you remember? The last secretary wasn't even allowed to bring in a temporary chair to report to you in your office. But now you repeatedly break the rules for Kevin, even turning on your own husband with anger for his sake. I moved closer, towering over her slightly, emphasizing each word. Sophia, I admit I do care about you. Otherwise, I wouldn't have married you. Wouldn't have wanted you to have my child. But you know perfectly well Ethan Hayes doesn't tolerate even a speck of impurity in his eyes. Not the slightest hint of betrayal or deception. If you dare cross that line, even just an emotional affair, a hint of ambiguity, I wouldn't hesitate to find a new mother for my son. Sophia's face turned livid. She spun around and stormed towards the guest bedroom. But I understood this particular fight was over. She would retreat to the guest room, compose herself, and by the next day, we would reconcile and move past it. This had been our unspoken agreement, our way of managing this marriage for 5 years. However, previous conflicts had always stemmed from business or family matters. This fighting over another person romantically was the first time, it would be the last. The next morning, Sophia's phone rang early. Kevin's name flashed on the screen. She hesitated for a moment before pressing answer. Kevin Unk's voice came through the phone, choked with sobs. Sophia, I really don't know what to do anymore. Slow down. Tell me what happened. Sophia frowned, her voice gentle. I'm being attacked online. My pictures are everywhere. Everyone is insulting me, calling me a kept man, saying I used my body to get ahead. I'm terrified. I don't even dare to leave my apartment. Kevin Unk's voice trembled with fear and helplessness, punctuated by faint sobs. Sophia's expression turned incredibly ugly. She looked at me, her eyes practically shooting flames. Okay, first, don't panic. Stay inside. Don't go anywhere. I'll handle this right away. The fact that Kevin had offended me was already common knowledge within our social and business circles. Even if I didn't explicitly order it, partners eager to curry favor with me would take initiative. I had glanced at the online situation that morning. It wasn't nearly as severe as Kevin made it sound in his call, but I had to admit his damsel in distress act had effectively triggered Sophia's protective instincts. Sophia's fury erupted the moment she hung up the phone. She slammed her phone down on the table, her eyes red-rimmed as she demanded, Ethan, what exactly are you trying to pull? Kevin is already gone from the company, gone from our lives. Why do you keep targeting him? How did you become so vicious? Abusing your position, your power as my husband, the company executive, just to hurt someone. I slammed my own coffee cup down on the table, refusing to tolerate her accusations. Sophia, I told you I didn't do anything. The entire company knows he crossed you. Who else but you would do something like this? Huh. Sophia, in all these years, when have you ever known me to do something and then deny it? Yet you question me again and again over some intern. It seems you're utterly infatuated with him. Sophia's face turned a shade of purple. She stormed out, slamming the door violently behind her. I calmly wiped the corner of my mouth with a napkin, watching her retreating back, a profound sense of disappointment washing over me. In the afternoon, I was scrolling through social media. I noticed that the flood of negative posts about Kevin had vanished, replaced by an official statement from Miller Corporation. The statement declared Kevin was exceptionally talented and had joined Miller Corporation based purely on merit. It asserted that Miller Corporation would not tolerate malicious slander against its employees and would pursue legal action against those spreading false information online. My phone screen lit up with a new message notification. It was from Alex, Mr. Hayes. Miss Miller didn't just have the legal department issued that statement. She also publicly announced that Kevin is being reinstated effective immediately as her chief secretary. She warned that anyone caught spreading rumors or gossiping further will be terminated on the spot. Now the entire company is buzzing with rumors that Ms. Miller and Kevin's relationship isn't strictly professional. Alex's words sent a jolt through my chest. Immediately after, Alex sent another screenshot. It was a post from Kevin's personal social media account. The storms in the workplace have passed. True gold fears no fire. My efforts have not been in vain. Thank you, Sophia, for recognizing my abilities. Moving forward, I will diligently assist Sophia and will not betray this trust. Attached was a picture of an official offer letter. He had been rehired as Miller Corp's chief secretary with a salary package equivalent to an executive vice president. Staring at that nauseatingly worded post, I slammed my phone down hard on the desk, murderous rage filling my eyes. Not long after, Sophia came home to pick up some files, pointedly avoiding even looking in my direction. She went straight upstairs, retrieved something from the study, and was about to leave. My fingers tapped rhythmically on the coffee table. I spoke, stopping her in her tracks. Sophia, what is the meaning of this? She paused, turning to face me, her eyes cold. Kevin is simply a hardworking employee who is targeted by you for inexplicable reasons, forced out of the company, and then subjected to online harassment. I am merely rectifying the wrongs you committed. This is what Kevin deserves. And what if I insist that you fire him? Then you could just try. Before it was out of respect for you, my husband, that I tolerated so much that I allowed you to misuse your authority and harm others. Now I've had enough of your behavior. This time I will not sacrifice Kevin, and I will not let you act recklessly any longer. Sophia spun around and left, the sound of the slamming door echoing through the entire villa. In that instant, I completely lost all hope for her. Our 5-year marriage, built over time, was crumbling because of a man who had shown up barely 2 weeks ago. I sat there on the sofa, a storm of anger and disappointment raging inside me. The water glass in my hand shattered under the pressure, shards digging into my palm. Blood trickled down my hand. I forced myself to calm down. Since she insists on siding with that pretty boy, then she can't blame me for being ruthless. Sophia, you will pay dearly for what you've done today. Having made my decision, I picked up my phone and called my personal lawyer, David Lee. David, I need you to prepare divorce papers immediately. Make sure the asset division is meticulously detailed. I want everything accounted for, not a single cent unaccounted for. David, clearly taken aback by my sudden decision, cautiously confirmed. Mr. Hayes, are you certain about this? Divorce is a significant step immediately. Right now, I want that agreement ready within 3 days. All right, I understand. And regarding Sophia, there's no need to notify her. This is my decision. After hanging up, I opened my laptop and accessed all files related to business dealings with Miller Corporation. Over 5 years of marriage, I had provided Miller Corp with substantial advantages and resources. Now it was time to take it all back. Subsequently, I issued a direct order to the Hayes Incorporated overseas headquarters. Inform all partners, suspend all ongoing collaborative projects with Miller Corporation, immediately cite technical adjustments as the reason. Yes, Mr. Hayes, came the crisp reply. No questions asked. Absolute obedience to my command. That was always the Hayes Incorporated way. Next were the core technical teams that Hayes Incorporated had placed within Miller Corporation. I instructed the Human Resources Department recall all these personnel back to Hayes Incorporated, offering them double their current salaries. This series of actions quickly caught my father's attention. His call came soon after. The moment I answered, I cut straight to the chase. Dad, I've decided to divorce Sophia. There was a moment of silence on the other end before my father's voice came through. Have you thought this through carefully? Perfectly clear. All right, then. I won't pry into the reasons. Your mother and I trust you, and we support your decision. Since you've made up your mind, don't waver. The Hayes family doesn't believe in dragging things out. Within 2 days, I had quietly withdrawn everything. Funds in my personal accounts were also systematically transferred, ensuring Sophia could no longer access them, and she remained completely oblivious to all of it. During these 2 days, Kevin's social media accounts were quite active. He constantly posted photos of himself accompanying Sophia to various business events, showcasing a new car, a new watch, a new office. The captions invariably included phrases like, "Grateful for Sophia's mentorship." I glanced at it once on the first day and then blocked him. Such garbage wasn't worth another second of my attention. Instead, I poured all my energy into preparations for my new ventures. Suddenly, my phone rang. The caller ID showed Sophia's name. Ethan, it's Dad's birthday today. He wants us to come over to the family estate. If you don't want to come, I'll just go by myself. Her voice was cold and distant. I glanced at the prepared divorce agreement lying on my desk. A slight smile touched my lips. I'll be there. It was time to lay everything out on the table to finally end this. At 7 p.m., I drove my Maybach slowly through the gates of the Miller family estate. The courtyard was brightly lit, and I could faintly hear the sounds of conversation and laughter. Sophia's parents, Mr. and Mrs. Miller, along with a few relatives, were standing near the entrance to greet guests. When they saw me get out of the car alone, a flicker of surprise crossed their faces. "Ethan, dear, where's Sophia?" Mrs. Miller asked. It wasn't surprising they were taken aback. In 5 years of marriage, this was the first time we hadn't arrived together. She said she'd arrived shortly. They welcomed me warmly inside. The butler personally served me a cup of high-end green tea. I sat on the sofa, accepted the cup, and sipped it calmly, appearing perfectly at ease. Half an hour later, the main door opened again. Sophia had finally arrived. But what shocked everyone was that Kevin trailed in right behind her. Mr. Miller instantly recognized the inappropriateness of the situation. His face darkened, a flash of anger in his eyes. "Sophia, this is a family gathering. What are you doing bringing an outsider here?" "Dad, Kevin is my chief secretary. We just finished up some urgent business, so I brought him along with me. This is a family dinner. How can you mix it with company affairs?" Mr. Miller's voice rose sharply. "Have him leave." Kevin Unk's expression faltered. He looked towards Sophia with a wounded expression. This tactic clearly worked on Sophia. She immediately jumped to his defense. "Dad, Kevin is my right-hand man. He worked so hard today, he didn't even have time for dinner. Just let him stay and eat with us." Seeing his daughter so oblivious to the situation, Mr. Miller grew even angrier. Has Ethan ever brought his assistant here during his busiest times? This is a family dinner, not one of your corporate schmoozing events. Butler, escort this gentleman out. The butler hesitated, caught awkwardly in the middle of the family conflict, unsure how to proceed. Kevin stood slightly behind Sophia. His eyes, however, kept darting towards me, a faint, provocative smirk playing on his lips. This whole charade had completely exhausted my patience. "That won't be necessary." I cut through their argument coldly, retrieving a file from the inner pocket of my suit jacket. I placed it firmly on the coffee table in front of everyone. I came today specifically for this. When they saw the large words, "divorce agreement," printed on the cover, the entire room fell silent. Sophia's face instantly drained of all color. The purse she was holding slipped from her grasp and landed on the carpet with a soft thud. Her voice trembling, she demanded, "Ethan, you want to divorce me? Have you lost your mind?" My gaze swept from Sophia's pale face to Kevin's, then settled back on her. I'm perfectly lucid, clearer now than I've ever been. Mr. and Mrs. Miller quickly stepped forward, attempting to mediate. "Ethan, dear, let's talk this through calmly. If there's been a misunderstanding, we shouldn't make impulsive decisions. There's nothing more to discuss. My decision is final. I won't sign." Sophia suddenly shouted, her eyes welling up. "Just because I made Kevin my chief secretary, you want to divorce me?" "Sophia, you know perfectly well what this is truly about." I stared directly into her eyes, speaking each word deliberately. "I warned you. I even gave you a chance. Ethan Hayes doesn't normally give second chances. I already broke that rule for you, but you clearly didn't appreciate it. Since you chose to trample on my dignity for the sake of some pretty boy, then don't blame me for being merciless." The room erupted in shocked murmurs. Sophia stood frozen, refusing to sign. "Mrs. Miller grabbed my arm, her voice pleading, "Ethan, please calm down. Let's talk about this slowly. Please don't do anything rash." I politely but firmly disengaged my arm. "Mrs. Miller, I respect you deeply, but my decision is final. There's no room for negotiation. Sophia, you can refuse to sign. In that case, we'll settle this in court." With that, I turned and strode out of the house, leaving the chaotic scene behind me. Standing at the floor, toe-ceiling window, gazing out over the sprawling city below, I felt a sense of lightness I hadn't experienced in a long time. Alex entered my office holding a new report. "Mr. Hayes, another 30 core employees from Miller Corporation submitted their job applications to us today," he reported, unable to hide his excitement. "To date, we've successfully recruited over 100 key technical personnel from Miller Corporation. Miller Corp stock hit the lower limit at market open today. That makes it the 5th consecutive trading day of limit down. Additionally, several of their key projects have been forced to halt due to the talent drain. Market rumors are already circulating about impending bankruptcy." I nodded slightly. This was all proceeding according to plan, without the backing of Hayes Incorporated and stripped of its core technical team. Miller Corp was like a fish out of water, floundering and waiting for the inevitable. "Oh, and Mr. Hayes, there's another interesting piece of news," Alex added, a grin spreading across his face. Apparently, Kevin made some grandiose pronouncements during a Miller Corp senior management meeting, proposing the company pivot into the technology sector. The project apparently launched and failed spectacularly almost immediately. Word is, Miller Corp is in complete internal chaos right now. I sneered. A liberal arts major daring to direct technical teams. The audacity is astounding. Truly clueless. It was the predictable outcome. Kevin was nothing more than a polished facade devoid of real talent or business acumen. Sophia, blinded by whatever infatuation she had foolishly entrusted critical company decisions to such a person. The phone on my desk lit up again. Another incoming call from Sophia that marked the 15th missed call from her today alone. I added her number to my block list. I had no interest in hearing her explanations or apologies, nor did I care how she was currently faring. Word had reached me that after Miller Corp stock continued to plummet and multiple projects ground to a halt, Sophia finally came to her senses and fired Kevin. But it was too late. Miller Corp was already deeply wounded. Its market capitalization nearly hauled. In the afternoon, security called my office line. "Mr. Hayes, Miss Sophia Miller is in the lobby. She's demanding to see you." "I'm not seeing her. She says she refuses to leave until she speaks with you," the guard said, sounding troubled. "Then let her stand there. Assign someone to keep an eye on her. Ensure she doesn't cause a disturbance." I hung up and returned my focus to the work in front of me. Doesn't she understand yet? It's completely over. That evening, Alex sent a message. Sophia had stood at the company entrance for 2 hours before finally being forcibly removed by security. The next day, the security call came again. This time, the visitor was Mr. Miller. I paused for a moment, then nodded. I told Alex to escort him up. After all, despite everything, Mr. and Mrs. Miller had always treated me decently over the years. Mr. Miller looked haggard, his eyes bloodshot, clearly worn down. He entered my office and got straight to the point. Ethan, I know Sophia made a terrible mistake, but she recognizes her error now. Can you possibly find it in your heart to give her another chance? His voice was pleading, his eyes filled with desperate hope. Mr. Miller, I respect you greatly, but this situation is irreversible. I know she did wrong, but she truly understands her mistake now. Please, Ethan, think about the years you had together. I cut him off gently but firmly. Mr. Miller, you understand this better than most. Some mistakes once made leave no path back. She's already fired Kevin. She regrets everything deeply now. Firing Kevin doesn't address the fundamental problem. Sophia didn't just disrespect me. She fundamentally betrayed the trust and affection between us. As I told her, I don't tolerate even a speck of dust in my eye. There's simply no possibility for us anymore. If she continues to refuse to sign the divorce agreement, I will continue applying pressure to Miller Corp until it collapses entirely. Mr. Miller's expression turned grim. I understand, he said heavily. I will persuade her to sign. I will raise Leo. The Miller family is welcome to visit him anytime. Although I felt sympathy for the old man, I wouldn't compromise my principles. Nor did I want any further entanglement with Sophia. Mr. Miller sighed deeply, nodded, and walked towards the door. His shoulders slumped. 3 days later, the signed divorce agreement arrived on my desk. Night fell. I finished processing the last document and prepared to leave the office. As I walked out of the building, a wretched figure caught my eye. It was Kevin pinned between two security guards, his clothes torn, his hair a mess. Seeing me appear, he began struggling violently, nearly breaking free from the guard's grip. "Ethan Hayes," he screamed, "everything that's happened to me is your fault. You destroyed my career. You destroyed my life." I maintained a safe distance, looking down at him with disdain. "Kevin, you seem to have misunderstood something. You were fired because you were incompetent. Those so-called brilliant strategies of yours? Just secondhand garbage copied from the internet riddled with flaws." Kevin Unk's face flushed red, then turned deathly pale, the anger in his eyes intensifying with my words. I continued, my voice calm but cutting. "You managed to become Sophia's chief secretary by playing the victim, exploiting her sympathy. You're nothing but an incompetent, pretty boy who relies on charming women to get ahead. That's your true nature. You bullied those beneath you, skimmed company resources, and no one dare call you out because you hid behind Sophia, abusing her trust and protection, didn't you? What do you think you amount to in my eyes? Just an incompetent pretty boy selling sob stories and probably more. Someone like you is lower than trash." Kevin's face turned absolutely white. I had clearly struck a nerve. He suddenly lunged forward, breaking free momentarily. "Shut up. I'm going to kill you." I didn't flinch. Before he could reach me, the guards tackled him swiftly, pinning him to the ground. I walked over and placed my foot firmly on his hand. "Kevin, if you ever dare to show your face in front of me again, I will make sure you die a very unpleasant death. Getting rid of you would be easier for me than crushing an ant. You had better pray our paths never cross again." Kevin completely lost it, screaming hysterically, "Ethan Hayes, you'll rot in hell. I'll kill you." The guards quickly clamped a hand over his mouth and dragged him away. That same night, an anonymous account surfaced online, leaking compromising photos of Kevin from his time working at an upscale private lounge. The photos showed him fawning obsequiously over several older, wealthy women, plying them with drinks. Soon after, surveillance footage of him shoplifting along with chat logs from his university days detailing how he scammed money from a girlfriend were all exposed. I hadn't ordered any of this, but there were plenty of people eager to gain my favor. Those desperate for Hayes Incorporated's goodwill took the initiative themselves. Mr. Miller also used his own influence to blacklist Kevin throughout the industry, ensuring he couldn't find legitimate work anywhere. Ultimately, Kevin had no choice but to return to the private lounge where he'd worked before, resuming his old profession. Word got back to me that less than a month later, he died from an illness brought on by excessive physical strain. As for me, Within 6 months of the divorce, I secured 3 major contracts. My company's stock price doubled, and my career soared. Forbes even named me Entrepreneur of the Year. Sophia, with her father's help, began the arduous process of rebuilding Miller Corporation, embarking on the long road to recovery. I occasionally saw her mentioned in business news. The sharp edge she once possessed seemed to have faded, replaced by a certain weariness. 3 years flew by in the blink of an eye. My company was now a leader in its industry. My status as a successful single CEO also made me a target of interest for many women. But my heart remained focused on my work and my son, Leo. I hadn't considered another relationship. Leo was now 4 years old, bright, energetic, and his smile looked remarkably like mine. Since the divorce, I dedicated most of my free time to him, personally handling kindergarten drop-offs and pickups every day. I even set aside a small corner in my office filled with his toys and drawings, making it a space where he could comfortably spend time whenever he visited. "Daddy, when is Mommy coming to see me?" Leo asked suddenly one day, looking up at me with hopeful eyes. I checked the calendar on my phone. "Your birthday is the day after tomorrow. Mommy will likely come visit then, probably with a present." According to the divorce agreement, Sophia was allowed to visit Leo twice a month for a maximum of 3 hours each time. Over the past 3 years, she had never missed a single scheduled visit. No matter how busy she was, she always arrived at the agreed time. She always brought carefully chosen gifts, doing her best to make up for her past absence and mistakes. Despite my own lingering resentment towards Sophia, I never interfered with Leo's contact with her, prioritizing his emotional well-being. During these 3 years, Miller Corp had gradually recovered under Sophia's leadership. Though smaller in scale than before, it was operating steadily. We occasionally crossed paths at business functions. We would exchange polite nods, but nothing more. On Leo's 4th birthday, I hosted a small party at home, inviting a few of his little friends and their nannies. In the afternoon, the doorbell rang. I opened the door to find Sophia standing there holding a large, brightly wrapped gift box. "His birthday present," she said simply. I took the large box from her and nodded. "You have 3 hours. I'll be back precisely then." Sophia nodded, her eyes lingering on Leo with a touch of sadness as I prepared to leave. Over these past 3 years, she had hinted at wanting to reconcile on multiple occasions through various indirect means. She would sometimes pointedly mention fond memories we shared during conversations at business gatherings. She would linger for a few extra minutes after her visits with Leo, trying to strike up small talk to prolong the interaction. She even asked mutual friends to convey messages to me, saying she still loved me and was willing to start over. But I rejected all these overtures politely but firmly. Some things once shattered simply cannot be put back together. My life now is fulfilling. A thriving career, a happy and healthy son. Compared to the constraints and conflicts of my past marriage, I felt freer, more at ease, and truly content.